I'm Don Malone, and I'm interviewing for the South Garland head coaching job for baseball. I went to Saxe High School, a school in the same district, in the same school district as South Garland. I played under head coach Chris Burrow for 3 years, and after high school, I went on to play baseball at Richland Junior College for Guy Simmons for a year and a half. And I feel that I am capable of bringing South Garland baseball back to a respectable level of play.
What traits do you feel are necessary for an athlete to achieve success in your sport?
To be successful in baseball, I think number one, just like kind of any sport, you have to have mental toughness. But especially in baseball, because unlike basketball, football, you might not get the ball every 5 or 6 seconds. If a quarterback makes a bad throw or an interception in football, he could have the ball back within seconds or minutes and be right in position to make up for that interception. Or if in basketball somebody misses a wide open 3-pointer in 5 seconds, he could have the ball back again, looking to make another 3-pointer and redeem himself for that miss. In baseball, if you miss a ground ball, make an error, it could be the next 20 balls put in play, they couldn't come your way. There's no guarantee that you're going to get another attempt at a ground ball or a pop fly to make up for making that error. You might have to wait. You might not get another chance in that game, and you might have to wait till the next game. And because of that, I think you have to have mental toughness and stay in the game, stay engaged and always ready and always thinking, how can you make the next play? I'm ready to make the next play, and go through the process in your mind. Another trait in baseball is flexibility. I think that might be overlooked some, but baseball players are really, really flexible. They have to be able to stretch to their left, stretch to their right. First basemen sometimes often do the splits to stretch and make a play, get the force out when they need to. Outfielders and infielders dive a lot and put their bodies in awkward positions to field ground balls and awkward throwing motions. Catchers especially have to be flexible with their legs and their interior of their legs with what they do. So I think flexibility is a very key important trait, and a trait that can be worked often to get better at. And then the next one is also very important to go along with flexibility and mental toughness is coordination. In baseball, you have to have good hand-eye coordination. If you can't throw a ball or swing a bat without looking at what you're doing, you are not going to be good. You have to be able to move your hands apart and do different things without looking at them, keeping your eyes going where the play is going. You have to be able to run looking at the ball and not have to look down to see where you're running to be able to catch a ball in the outfield. In pitching, you have to be able to keep your eyes on the catcher and where the mid is to be able to throw a strike or throw the pitch where it needs to be without having to look at your feet, look at your glove, look at your arm as it goes back to bring the ball into the throwing motion. So coordination is very key and very important, along with flexibility and mental toughness.
All right. How would you describe the interrelationship between talent and work ethic in the athletic realm?
I think talent and work ethic, they kind of, for the most part, they go hand in hand. If people are really talented, they generally have a good work ethic. But again, sometimes that's not always the case. You just, every now and then you have this freak athlete who's just extremely talented and has very little work ethic. It just comes naturally. And, as a coach, you're thinking, what am I going to do? What can I do to make him work harder or make her work harder when they don't have to work hard to be good because they're that talented? But for the most part, I'd say 90% of the time, most athletes, if they're talented, they have a really good work ethic. But you have that 10% that's just a freak athlete that they could work hard one day a week and still be as talented as anybody who works out 5 days a week on your team. And to me, that's just God-given talent. Freak athletes, you don't see a team stacked full of them. Occasionally you get one, maybe two if you're lucky. But for the most part, I think if you have a talented team, talented players, they have a strong, good work ethic that they keep and maintain throughout the course of 365 days a year. They don't just work hard when it's in season or when it's off season. They work hard off season all the way through season and then continue that going into the next year.
How do you feel about athletes participating in multiple sports?
I think athletes participating in multiple sports is a good thing. I think, especially in high school, a lot of good athletes play multiple sports. You rarely see an athlete not play multiple sports. Most of the time, football players, if they don't do basketball or baseball, they're doing track. And vice versa. If they're really good at track, generally a football coach can talk them into, playing football and being a big offensive lineman or defensive lineman because they're strong or fast, or returning kicks, being a receiver, being a running back because they can out sprint everybody. I don't have a problem playing with athletes playing multiple sports. I know you have the risk of if they get injured when in football season and they're out for baseball season, you just move on. My starting shortstop in high school was also our starting quarterback and is now the starting quarterback at Utah State. If he had just chosen baseball, I still think he would have got a scholarship somewhere to play baseball, but it might not have been at a D1 school like Utah State. For football, it might have been at a junior college, and he had to work maybe harder than he did in football to get that D1 offer. But nevertheless, he played football and baseball and is excelling in football. Our high school ace pitcher, who is now in the Toronto Blue Jays farm system, played football freshman through junior year. He was one of the starting receivers. He's 6'4", so why not would he play football? Football coaches loved him because they could throw a jump ball up to him, and 90% of the time he would win it. And, yes, there's risk with that. Could he have got injured? Yes. Could he have not been available in baseball season? Yes. But, again, he wanted to play football, and he was good at football, so our baseball coach didn't have an issue with it, didn't mind him playing football. He knew the risk in him playing football, but he also knew the reward in him playing football and baseball. And so ultimately, I'm not going to tell my athletes whether they can play, what sports they can play, what sports they can't play. If they choose to just play and focus on baseball, that's good. If they choose to play basketball and baseball, football and baseball, if they want to run track and baseball, I will work with them and try and help them be as successful as they can be in multiple sports.
What person or event has had the most influence on your life and why?
The person who's had the most influence on my life will definitely be my head baseball coach in high school, Chris Burrow. Just again, I knew him all 4 years of high school. He was the head freshman football coach, and when I played freshman football that year, we got that relationship kind of going and started. And he's a really, really good guy. He's really all about just making sure his athletes, his players can be successful, not only in the sport they play in high school, but after high school, whether they continue to go on and play baseball or whether they continue to go further their education and start working in the workforce. And he was real personal with us, and I appreciated that. He was genuine with us. He told us, he told a couple of seniors that, kind of had admirations to play junior college baseball, or at least wanted to try, that they really weren't good enough to go play junior college baseball. But he tried, talked to coaches, and got one of them a tryout, and obviously the other one really wasn't that good, but he tried. But he was also honest with him. He didn't sugarcoat anything, and it meant a lot to me how genuine he was and how encouraging he was. But also, he knew when it was time to push us, when it was time to kind of kick us in the butt and motivate us. And ultimately, he's the reason why I want to get into coaching, because of the impact he had on my life in high school. And even after high school, keeping in touch with him, we talk periodically now, and he gives me advice about things to look for, things to, do when I start coaching. And hopefully at some point, I'd love to go back to my alma mater and coach with them. That would be great, but, that's not the only school I'm going to apply for. It's not the only job I'd like, but it would be a great job for me if I could go back and coach with him, because I just think of him so much like that, and think of him so highly because of how he coaches and just the genuine person he is. And he definitely had the biggest impact on my life as far as me wanting to get into coaching.
what qualities do you look for in hiring an assistant coach and why?
In hiring assistant coach, qualities I look for as they would want to have the same goals as me. I ultimately would like to win a state championship when I get into coaching. Whenever I get that first head coaching job, I'd like to win a state championship coach. I'd like to win a state championship. And if I interview assistant coaches and their ultimate goal is to not win a state championship, then I'm going to think long and hard, do I want them on my staff if they just content with, let's just get to the playoffs and see what happens. If they don't want to say, hey, I want to be district champs every year, I want to make a run, I want to go win a state title, then they might not be the right assistant coach for me. Also, if they don't think similarly to me along the coaching lines, like if I think pitching and defense wins games and wins championships ultimately, and that's what I really gear towards. If we can pitch and we can play defense and keep guys from scoring, then if we can score 3 or 4 runs a game, there's a chance we can win every game. And if I'm interviewing an assistant coach who's really heavy on offense and kind of throws defense to the wind and says, oh, whatever happens, happens. If we can score 15 runs a game, then we can outscore him. He might not be the right assistant coach to coach with me because we have different philosophies on how we want to coach and how we want to get ultimately the final out and win games. And finally, I would think, would he be a good fit for my team? Would my players like him and like playing for him? Would he push them when they need to be pushed? Would he ease back when he needs to ease back? And how would he fit with my team? How would he fit with my players? How would he fit with incoming freshmen and, wanting them to stay in the program and play all 4 years and develop them? Would he be good in that use? And also, would he fit with, the seniors I have? Or would he maybe clash with them and create a divide? And also, would they,